Welcome to National Pond's Training and Development video series. Today we're going to talk about testing items and properly testing. Now, we are assuming that you have properly qualified the customer, so we're past that portion. So what we do when we test the merchandise is the first step is we let the customer know that we need to test the merchandise. Now, there's always on every piece of merchandise, there's a way to do it. You go loop, you go magnet, and you go the scratch test. Loop, magnet, scratch test. There's no better testing equipment than your eye. So make sure that the first thing we do is we use our loop. We can discern whether or not it's fake or whether or not it's real just by the loop. Now this item here has no stamp on it, so we need to test it to make sure. We've already qualified the customer, we've already got permission. This is the proper way that you do. We looked at it. We're going to use the magnet to see if it's magnetic. Then we're going to go to the stone. Now the proper way we do this, we want to make sure that we understand that this is a customer's merchandise. A lot of businesses will take this and they'll grind it and they'll get it right in there. We don't want to do anything like that. So we take the merchandise and we just put one single line. Just scratch it like that, one line. Now we don't know what the carat is because it's not stamped. So we want to start with our 10 karat acid first. Right here on the side, we want to put a small line. Remember, we want to seal back the acid. We want to take the 14 karat and we might want to make another small line. We seal that back up. Then we go to 18 karat. And as we see it disappear, that's obvious that this is a 14 karat piece. Now what we do from this point is we just take, without spraying anymore, just take this and rub it down, take our sponge, clean that off, dip that right into the bowl with baking soda and water, then rinse that off, and now you have a clean stone for your next testing. So that's our solid piece of gold. Well, let's move on to how we would test a chain. Now, if you notice this chain, it's not very big, so you have to be careful. What's the steps? The steps is loop. It is stamped 14 karat. Magnet. It is not magnetic. So now we go on to the soapstone. Just take your finger, just wrap it around your finger, put a little pressure on it, and get you a line that looks about like that. Okay? Now we know it's 14 karat, so we want to start with 14 karat. Then we want to go to 18 karat. You see how that's dissolved on 18 karat? So obviously it's a good 14 karat piece. Swipe that around a little bit. Put your acid back. Take your green and take the rest of that gold off there. Put it in the baking soda and water. Put it in the fresh water. I'll bring it back out and you're ready to test another piece. So let's say we have a finer chain, something like this. How do we test something that fine? Well, first of all, you have to be very careful because you don't have a lot of gold there to test, but you do it basically the same way. You take a piece and you just put a little pressure on it like this. Now you see that you're not getting much gold on there, so you can't test it like that. So you have to get a little bit more gold on there. So you got a line that looks like that. Again, we don't have a stamp, so we have to start off with our 10. We have to go to 14. And then we go to 18. It's obviously a 14 karat piece. Take this and just spread it without squeezing anymore. Put your acid back. Take your sponge, clean up the rest of that. Dip it into your baking soda and water. dip it into your regular, rinse that off. Now you're ready to test another piece. Now, a customer may bring you a very, very delicate piece like a watch. Let's notice here on a watch with a bracelet on it. Now again, a lot of customers know that this is a beautiful piece and they don't want you to harm it. Get permission and then test it very delicately. Take your stone and put it on the corner. Just take it and take a little bit like that. Now, as you can see, there is absolutely no damage to that piece. But we've got a nice piece that we can test. Now it's stamped 14, so we'll start with the 14 karat acid. Now, because you only have a little finite piece like that, just put a drop of acid on there. Now take your 18 karat and see how it disappeared. That's obviously a 14 karat piece. So just take that and slide it over there like that. Take your green scouting pad, put that on there, then the baking soda and water. Okay, so that's some gold pieces. Now, what happens if we get a diamond piece? Well, remember, we want to go loop, magnet, and testing. Loop, magnet, and testing, okay? So here we go. First thing we're going to do is we're going to look for a stamp of some sort. Now this is stamped PT 950, which means that's a platinum piece. If you put any gold acid on there, you're not going to have any response to it at all. So going into it knowing that it's platinum helps you a great deal. Then we're going to look at the diamonds to make sure that they're gold, or make sure that they're diamonds. Now, although you may have a ton of experience with it, and you may be able to discern that these are diamonds right away, you want to always use your testing machine as your second or your backup. So you wait till it comes on. Remember when we talked about the tools and how to care for those? Just take this tip and just brush it lightly. Make sure that that's clean. Take the diamond and do the same thing. This is not going to give you a proper test if this is dirty or this is dirty. Just stroke it there, and then when you have it light, just set it down there with no pressure. Now, it will tell you whether or not it's a moissanite or whether or not it's a cubic zirconia. Now, also, I want you to pay attention to this particular model, the Testarossa, and see it has a light there that illuminates that. See, when you have that going through there, that's a good way of testing it as well, is to kind of look at that to see if it's cut well and it glows that purple light or not. Okay, so now we want to go to make sure that it actually is platinum. And again, this is a very expensive item, so you want to take terrific care with it and just put you a little scratch on it. When you look at that, you notice that there is absolutely no damage to the ring at all. Nothing like if you would take this and chisel into it like some stores do. Then take your platinum acid, and just the same way, put a little streak there. And see, there's no test to it. Now, let's just say that you didn't know that that was platinum, and you put some 18 karat acid on there. See how that eats away at that? You would think, well, no, that's not a real piece. But see, the platinum acid will always help. So if you have something 18 karat, always hit it with the platinum acid as well. Then because you want to keep your soapstone clean, you go ahead with your brush again, dip it in your baking soda and water, and then in your clear, and there's that. Now, we do have some things that come into our store that is not real. The way you can help out with that is remember the sequence: loop, magnet, and acid. See, if I grab this and I look at it, then I don't need to go any farther because it says that it is 1/20 of 12 karat gold filled. So we know we don't need the magnet or the acid on this piece. We know that it's just not real. But what about one that comes in that's not stamped? Okay, it's actually stamped 750, which is 18 karat. So we get permission from the customer, and then we test it. We take a link and just bend a link like that. We want to make sure that we don't do it on a solder point or anything, because the solder point could be actual gold. So you take it and get you a line like this. Now, for those of you that are experienced in this, you can see that this is not a gold item. If you also look at where I scratched it at, you can see where it's turning white in there. But let's go ahead and just test it. We said that it was 14 karat, or that it's stamped 18 karat. So you want to get the 18 karat acid. Now you see just how it's fading away. Going quickly. So we know that that's not a real item. Another way you can test something that's fake is that if you smell this, it smells like a tin can. It'll actually give you a little tickle in your nose. So just take it like that and go, and it will tickle your nose just like smelling a tin can. So that's the way we would do with the fake piece as well. Now there are several other things that we could go through, like coins. Coins are very different as far as weighing them up or testing them up. Again, you have to be discreet with where you test a coin at. You want to make sure that, because if you damage that coin during testing, that'll hurt the value of the coin. If a customer says, no, I don't want you to test it, I'm guaranteeing you that it's 24 karat, we just have to pass on that item, because we have to test everything that comes through us for. Well, hopefully that's been of help. Hopefully you can go through and take some items out and test them to make sure that you're testing properly. So a couple things to keep in mind. Always ask the customer, let the customer know that you need to test their item. Show them how you're going to test them. Always go in sequence with loop, magnet, and then stone. Remember, there's no need of testing it if it doesn't pass the loop test first. So put me on pause and test some items. Welcome back. Hopefully you had some good time to test some jewelry and be more comfortable with testing jewelry. All different types we've demonstrated, but now if you don't feel comfortable, just ask your manager for some more time to sit down and really get comfortable with it. You also have a tremendous resource in your store to help you, and that's your management crew. Remember, you always get permission before you test the merchandise. You get permission from the customer. Then test it the way we demonstrated here. Then get a second opinion if you need to, and then you're going to make a good qualified decision on your loan or buy.